Hey everyone, it's Kelly, and today I'm going to show my conversion of Mirabilia's Raven Queen. I was first inspired to change the colors of Raven Queen when I saw the Huntsman's Winter's War. It's the second live action kind of Snow White movie, and saw Charlize Theron's character in there, and it just immediately made me think of Raven Queen, and I was pretty confident that I would be able to convert her colors to kind of get that aesthetic, and I'm really happy with what I came up with. This conversion was a little bit, I guess, messy in a sense that there's a lot of, it's not a direct one-for-one conversion. Some of the colors that got in different areas of the pattern, there are 3 different colors. So if you're going to use this conversion, just make sure you pay close attention to the chart and my notes, and I'll do my best to lay that out for you. But I do kind of play around when I'm changing colors, and I don't always make notes of things if it's just a really small minor thing. So if you come across something that seems a little off in an area, you just kind of do whatever you feel works best with that section. So we'll just kind of start at the top of the Raven Queen pattern and work our way down. All this stonework in here, it's all according to the pattern. I did the metallics, I have swapped out from Kreinik to Petite Treasure Braid. They're just really close approximations, but I personally prefer Petite Treasure Braid over the Kreinik metallic threads. And here along the borders, there's a couple water lilies, or there's one water lily and then a bead, and I changed it so that there are 2 types of beads instead, so there's even more beading along the border than what is called for. Over here in the background castles, I changed the 2 colors that were used. I wasn't real crazy about the 2 original colors, and I just went stash diving through what I had and picked 2 kind of close-ish colors to what I had here. So right off the bat, one of the big changes is I left off this, she had some background, like a big collar or something behind her, and I just did away with all of that. I still kept the little decorative parts along the, I guess, her shoulder parts of her dress. Those are still in the called for whisper thread, and it's got some beads in here too. And then with her necklace, I changed them. They were originally size 11 beads, but I swapped them to size 15 just to give it a little bit more of a delicate jewelry feel to it, and just so it wasn't quite so crowded around there. And her earrings, I think I changed the shape just a little bit, but they're pretty much the same. With her skin, I did do 1/1 skin, and there's one blended color, and I traded that out for a solid color. So if you're gonna stitch the skin 2/2, you can just follow the pattern as is, or if you're going to stitch 2/1 tent stitch, you can still do that blended thread for that one color. But if you're going to do 1/1, then I have swapped out the color just to try and help with the gradient of colors It's never exact and perfect, but it's pretty good. Right here in her face and in her neck, I did make some adjustments to the charting as I was stitching her to try and soften the harsh corners that you can get when you're doing the skin 1/1. I mean, she pretty much looks like how she's supposed to. I didn't drastically change anything. So here's a close-up of her face. Another thing you might notice is her eyebrows. In the chart, they're pretty significantly arched and higher, but I chose to kind of bring them down and make them a little more subtle. I changed the colors of her lips. I unfortunately did not write that down. I just went through my DMC and picked out 2 different colors. Another thing I adjusted was with her crown. Originally, it's all this size 11 bead, but I had the same color in size 15, so I added a few of those to the tips of, those spires, just to kind of help make them look a little bit finer and I guess sharper. When you're looking at the chart, there's going to be a metallic that's used in her crown, and there's only 5 stitches of it. So I just picked another color that I had on hand. If I hadn't have had anything that I felt worked, then, just use whatever else you're using in the crown. It's not worth buying an entire separate spool of metallic or a card of metallic just for those 5 stitches. Just use whatever you have on hand that works. If you pay real close attention, you can see that my beads are facing in all sorts of different directions, and that was a purposeful choice that I made. I wasn't sure if I did them all straight on like this, if it would I wasn't sure if these little clusters, if they would look like they were just kind of hanging off on their own. So I kind of had everything kind of coming in like that. Another big change that I made was her neckline. Her neckline and just her kind of waist and hips shaping, it was pretty not symmetrical, or asymmetrical, I should say. And it was really bothersome for me. I don't mind if it's, a little off. It doesn't need to be exactly like a mirror image, but I needed it to be a little bit more similar. So I basically took, I think, these 2 sides and mirror imaged it over on this side for like the under part and then the neckline, but in the centers they're not exactly the same. And further down, I did again do a little bit of reshaping in here and in here, I think, maybe. But it was just to kind of even it out, and it was maybe like a couple stitches, like in total, like a handful of stitches. So it wasn't drastic, but it was just a little bit. So you can see here, if you're looking at her bust line, it's just they're a bit different, and her waist is a bit different, and so I just wanted to make it a little bit more the same. And if you see here, there's some of that teal that goes on the outside of her neckline, and I didn't see the need to do that, so I just have the main body of the color without any extra on the outside there. That's another thing you can see here. There's that line of teal that goes along the side of her, and I left that off on mine. Another aspect of the dress that I altered was in these folds and ripples of her dress. In these teal parts, there's some gray, and so it kind of works when her dress is black and gray that you would get these darker spots where the dress is folding. But when I converted to gold, these, like this gray and this gray right here, it would have ended up being a gold in the middle of a black trim color. So I just kind of played around and tried to fill in those areas so that it was more continuous, but it still attempted to look like the waves and folds of her dress. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So that is the main parts of Raven Queen for if you would like to do this conversion. I think there's only one color of the metallic threads that used multiple cards, and that will be noted in the description box. Anytime you see that there are two colors listed together, that means that there is one strand of each blended together and used on the same needle. So sometimes it's two DMC colors, and sometimes that'll be a DMC and a metallic thread. If you are on a smartphone or an iPad or a tablet, any kind of mobile device, if you're having trouble finding the description box, there's usually an arrow by the title of the video, and if you just click that little down arrow, the description box should pop up, and then all the notes will be in that section for you. Stick around for some video and some more photos to see some more details and see how her dress sparkles when it catches the light. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next video.